All right, let's dive into The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. It's been a game changer for so many startups, and today we're going to break down why and how it can work for you. Think of it like a cheat sheet for building a business, but like way less risk and way more potential for success. Ready to jump in?
You know, what I find so interesting about Rees's approach is that it's not just theory. He's taken his own entrepreneurial experiences, the wins and the failures, and blended it with this like super efficient manufacturing model from Toyota. And it's basically this roadmap for navigating the crazy world of startups.
Oh, it's not only for startups, is it? I feel like these principles could apply to anyone with a new project, even if it's not like a full-on business, you
No,
know?
totally. That's what's so cool about the lean startup. It's super adaptable. So yeah, whether you're building a company or launching a product or even just like changing up a process you already have, those core principles, validated learning, focusing on the customer, iterating quickly, they all still apply.
Okay, so let's break down this idea of the build, measure, learn feedback loop. I've heard so much buzz about it, but what's it actually look like?
So imagine this. You've got this amazing idea, right? But instead of spending months, maybe even years, perfecting it alone in your basement, you build a simple version, just the bare minimum to get started. Reese calls this the minimum viable product, or MVP.
An MVP, so it's not the final product, just enough to like test it out.
Exactly. You get that MVP in front of real customers, get their feedback, see what they think, and then you use that data to make it better. It's about turning assumptions into insights, step by step.
It's less about guessing and more about knowing then, and that feels a lot less risky, especially if you're the one putting money down or even just time.
Yeah, definitely. Think about Drew Houston and Dropbox, for example. He didn't build this whole complex platform right away. He made a simple 3-minute video explaining the idea, and that video alone got 75,000 signups before he even wrote a single line of code.
Hold on, so a video counts as an MVP? It doesn't have to be like a real working thing?
That's the thing. An MVP could be a landing page, a rough prototype, maybe even a survey. It's about testing that core idea. Do people want this?
Yeah.
Before you spend a ton of time and money building the whole thing out. Like, imagine validating your idea with something as simple as a landing page. How much time and money could you save?
That's huge, especially if you're just starting out. It takes a lot of the pressure off having to have something perfect from the beginning.
Totally. And this leads right into one of the big obsessions of a lean startup, speed. In the startup world, being able to adapt quickly, to how the market changes and what your customers want, that can be the difference between success and failure.
Okay, speed is key. What's the other obsession Reese talks about?
Customer obsession. This means understanding what your customers really need and putting that above everything else. Solving real problems, not just building what you personally think is cool.
That sounds great, but it also sounds kind of tricky. How do you know if you're actually focused on what they need or just projecting your own ideas onto them?
That's a really good point, and that's where the measure part of build, measure, learn is so important. We'll dive into that a little later. But for now, just remember, customer obsession means constantly seeking feedback and checking your assumptions.
Reese also suggests another book for understanding your customer better, right?
Yes, The 4 Steps to the Epiphany by Steve Blank. It's considered a foundational text in customer development.
So we've got speed, we've got customer obsession. How do these actually translate into action?
That's where the tools and techniques from the lean startup come in. We talked about MVPs, but Rees also emphasizes using real metrics to measure progress.
Real metrics. Can you break that down a little? What are those? I mean, I can imagine spreadsheets and charts, but help me understand what actually matters.
It's about focusing on data that tells you how healthy your idea actually is. Instead of vanity metrics like social media likes or website visits, track the stuff that's tied to your goals. If you're selling something, the number of sales is way more important than how many people clicked on your website. What does success look like for you? How can you measure that?
So aligning your metrics with your goals and using those insights to quickly iterate. Got it.
Exactly. That's the core of the lean startup approach. Build, measure, learn, and repeat.
It seems like this whole build, measure, learn loop could help you avoid those like big, scary pitfalls early on. Imagine like pouring all your energy into something only to realize, oh, nobody actually wants this.
It's a huge risk for entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's why validating those assumptions early on, it's so crucial. And the lean startup approach, it's like a safety net. It lets you test those ideas without, risking everything.
So minimizing risk by actually testing your ideas. Are there any other like tangible benefits, things that listeners can actually expect if they use these principles?
Well, think of it this way. When you focus on learning and you're experimenting quickly, you're making your path to success Well, more efficient. You're not wasting time on stuff that doesn't work. You're
Yeah.
constantly improving, and that gives you a real edge.
So you're saving time, reducing risk, anything else?
Something a lot of people don't realize is it boosts your confidence. When your decisions are based on data, not just your gut feeling, you get this sense of certainty. Every experiment, whether it succeeds or quote-unquote fails, it gives you valuable information. It tells you what to do next.
So no more second guessing yourself. You're learning from each step, building that confidence, especially when you're in uncharted territory. That's got to be a game changer.
Exactly. And remember, in the lean startup world, failure isn't the opposite of success. It's how you get there.
That's a really different way of looking at it. I mean, we're kind of taught to be afraid of failure, right?
Yeah.
But you're saying it's essential.
Totally. The lean startup idea is to fail fast. You learn from it. Think of it as like this fast feedback loop that helps you make adjustments and find what really works. There's this great story in the book about Tony Hsieh, the guy who founded Zappos. He wanted to test if people would buy shoes online before investing in tons of inventory. So he literally started drop shipping shoes from local stores. Like someone would order a pair from his website, he'd go buy them from a store and ship them directly.
Wow, that's smart. He validated his idea without a huge initial investment. It's like build, measure, learn in action, real world stuff.
Exactly. It shows you don't need fancy technology or a ton of money to test your ideas. Sometimes the simplest solutions, those are the best ones.
Okay, I'm totally on board. Let's talk about like a practical action plan, something lean startup inspired. What would that look like?
Let's put together a 5-day transformation plan based on the book's main principles. Think of it like a crash course in lean startup thinking.
5 days. Love it. Okay, what's day one?
Day 1, sketch your MVP. Just set a timer, 1 hour, and capture the essence of your idea, the simplest possible form. It could be a landing page, a prototype, heck, even a drawing on a napkin. Doesn't matter. The goal is to get something down on paper, no matter how rough. No overthinking, no trying to make it perfect, just pure creation.
1 hour. Okay, that feels manageable. It takes the pressure off having to create a masterpiece on the first try. So you've got that MVP sketch. What's next?
Day 2, get feedback. Show your MVP to, say, 5 people who fit your target audience. Don't explain it, just watch them. Do they understand it? Do they seem interested? What questions do they ask? What are they unsure about? Listen to their suggestions.
This is where you got to put your ego aside and really let the feedback guide you. Right?
Yeah. Don't get defensive about your idea. Remember, you're not selling anything, you're learning.
Got it. Day 3.
Day 3, tweak and refine. You've got your feedback. Now take that next hour and use it to make your MVP better. But keep it simple. You're not building a rocket ship here. Small changes based on what you learned.
So we built, we measured, now we learn some more.
Exactly. Day 4, launch. Share your revised MVP with a small group, 20 people maybe, through email, social media, whatever works for you. The important thing is you're getting it in front of real potential customers in a low-pressure environment.
And day 5.
Day 5, analyze. What happened? Did people interact with your MVP? Did they click, buy, or sign up? That data is gold. Use it to decide your next move. Do you pivot? Do you double down on what's working? Or keep refining?
Each day builds on the last one. It's like this constant learning cycle. By the end of the 5 days, you'd have a much clearer picture, right, of what your idea is and if it's worth pursuing.
Absolutely. And here's a tip. During those 5 days, every day, write down one key lesson you learned. It really helps you understand and see how far you've come.
I like that. It's like your own mini lean startup bootcamp. So we covered the core principles, even made an action plan. What about resources, like for people who want to dive deeper?
Well, besides the lean startup itself, definitely check out The 4 Steps to the Epiphany by Steve Blank. It really gets into the nuts and bolts of customer development.
And Ries actually says Blank was a big influence on his work, right?
He does, yeah. And for a more hands-on approach, leanstartup.co is a fantastic resource. They've got free tools, workshops, and a whole community of people who use Lean Startup.
So there's a whole community out there using these principles.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, Eric Ries' blog is amazing. Tons of insights and practical tips. He's always sharing new ideas and case studies, so it's great for staying up to date.
So much good stuff out there. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just starting out, there's support for your Lean Startup journey.
That's the best part. The Lean Startup, it's not just theories. It's a toolkit for anyone building something new, a business, a product, even a new way of working. It's about giving people the power to act, test their ideas, and make a real impact.
Okay, but let's get real. It's cool to hear about the concepts, but seeing them actually work, that's got to be more convincing. Any companies come to mind that are like poster children for lean startup?
Oh, yeah, tons. The book is full of them, companies that use these principles and got amazing results. We talked about Dropbox and Zappos, but there are so many more. And in all kinds of industries, too.
So it's not just for tech companies in Silicon Valley, then?
That's what's so cool. It's not limited at all. We're seeing these lean startup principles everywhere, from healthcare to education, even government.
So it's not just about building, like, the next big tech company. It's more about having a framework, a way to approach any new idea with this mindset of experimenting and learning.
Exactly. It's flexible. It's not like a set of strict rules. You can adapt it to different situations, different challenges.
It's almost like a universal language for innovation, a way to figure out how to build something new in a world that's constantly changing.
And that adaptability, super key. The world moves fast, and being able to adapt, to change direction quickly, that's what makes you successful.
Which brings us back to that main idea, continuous learning and adaptation. It's not about knowing everything right away. It's about being okay with experimenting, getting feedback, and improving as you go.
Right. Being open to new information, being willing to change course when you learn something new.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the lean startup, what's the one thing you really want listeners to take away?
I think the most important thing is you don't have to have all the answers right now. Embrace the unknown, test your ideas, and be ready to learn and change as you go. That journey, that's the best teacher. Don't be afraid to, fail fast. Every time you stumble, it's a chance to learn, to get better.
It's about changing how you see failure. It's not something to be scared of. It's just information. It's how you get closer to success.
Totally. And one last thought, something to think about. Technology is always evolving. Markets are always changing. So how can we take these lean startup principles and make them even faster, even more agile for the future? Something to ponder as we move forward in this crazy, ever-changing world.
That is such a great question. It reminds us that learning and innovating, it never really stops. So keep experimenting, keep getting better, keep pushing the limits of what's possible. Until next time, happy building.